I canceled my girlfriend's stay at a luxury resort that I paid for after she used my tickets to go with her friends instead of me. I have a girlfriend, Ina, with whom I've been for about 4 years. Recently, I planned a romantic trip to an amazing resort to celebrate our anniversary, which also falls on her birthday. I paid for everything: plane tickets, accommodation, and even some special activities at the location. This year, I was planning to propose to her. I was super excited and told enough about the details of the trip a few weeks in advance, and she seemed very enthusiastic as well. However, a few days before the trip, she started acting strangely and a bit distant. I asked if everything was okay, and she assured me it was. On the day we were supposed to travel, I asked if she preferred to meet at her place if I should pick her up, if she preferred to meet at the airport or something else, but I got no response. I tried calling her multiple times, but nothing. I even asked her relatives if she had mentioned anything to them, but again, nothing. I was anxious, wondering what had happened, and even considered going to the police to report a disappearance. Imagine my surprise when a few hours later I saw photos on social media of Anna at the resort, but she wasn't alone. She was with a friend and 4 guys I didn't know. I was in shock. I called her immediately, but she didn't answer. I sent messages asking what was going on, and she only replied at the end of the day saying she was sorry, but needed this time with her friends to de-stress and that we could reschedule our trip. I asked her what the hell she was talking about and who those guys in the photos were. She said I was overreacting and that they were just friends she met at the resort. The situation was already absurd. But now, not only had she tricked me and gone to the resort I paid for, but she was also celebrating with guys I didn't know in the room I paid for doing. Who knows what? I asked her why she went without me. She said honestly I wasn't fun. According to her, she loved me as a person and really liked me. But for her birthday in such a special place, she wanted to do whatever she wanted and be free. And if I were there, I would ruin that. I told her that. Of course I wouldn't do that. I literally paid for her tickets so we could go there and do all sorts of things together. I took the only vacation I have in the year for this, spent money I saved for months and offered her a special experience, and she used it as an opportunity for a trip with her friends. She then said she couldn't stand my nagging throughout the trip, so she would block me and only unblock me when the stay was over, and that I shouldn't try to contact her until then, justifiably. I was furious. I had spent a fortune and planned everything thinking of the two of us, and she used it as an opportunity for a trip with her friends. Without thinking twice, I canceled the rest of the stay at the resort and all the activities I had booked. Unfortunately, I lost a small part of the money since she had already stayed there for the day, but I managed to recover most of it. When she found out, she called me furious, saying I was petty and that I ruined her and her friend's vacation, that I was a monster and that she didn't want anything to do with me anymore. However, when she discovered that I had also canceled the plane tickets and she couldn't return home, her tone changed completely. She started messaging me again, apologizing and saying she might have overreacted and shouldn't have done what she did. She began asking me to restore the tickets and wait for her to come home so we could talk. I said no, I didn't want to annoy her with my nagging. Then I blocked her. I feel betrayed and very confused about how to deal with this. From what I know, she is still there and will ask her parents for money to buy another ticket, but I don't know if they will give it to her, as I told them what happened, and they are also upset with her. Update 1. When I thought the storm had passed, it swung back around with even more force. So, this morning, just as I was finally feeling a bit more grounded and considering getting back into my normal routine, there was a knock. Not just a light tap, but a solid, determined knock. It was Ina. Yes, Ina, standing right there at my doorstep looking like a mix of nervous and hopeful, maybe even a bit desperate. I could barely process my emotions at seeing her there. Surprise, anger, curiosity, a weird sense of déjà vu. It was all swirling inside me. Despite everything, I opened the door. I mean, you have to, right? You have to at least find out why. Ina was tearful, and she wasted no time launching into this heartfelt apology. She looked pretty rough, which part of me felt like she deserved. She talked about how she realized she had messed up big time, how she'd taken everything we had for granted, and how being stranded without a way back was a wake-up call. She went on about the friends who had quickly distanced themselves once the luxury dried up, how they blamed her for ruining what was supposed to be their epic getaway. Her parents, she said, were disappointed beyond words, and the whole experience made her reevaluate what was important in her life. And according to her, that was me, our relationship. Listening to Ina spill her guts, seeing her so vulnerable, I won't lie, it stirred up a lot of old feelings. There was a part of me that just wanted to put it all behind us, to forgive and forget. But there was also this louder voice reminding me of the betrayal, the disappointment, and the sheer audacity of her actions. She suggested couples therapy, promised transparency, swore it was a one-time mistake that would never happen again. She was pulling all the stops, and it was a lot to take in. After Ina left, I closed the door and just stood there for what felt like ages. My house suddenly felt a lot smaller, or maybe it was just the weight of everything making it feel cramped. The idea of trying to patch things up was tempting. There's comfort in the familiar, in going back to what you know. But could I really just overlook what had happened? I spent the rest of the day in a fog, thinking about everything. I flipped between anger, sadness, and this guilty feeling of empathy for her situation. I talked to a couple of close friends, laid it all out, and they were as shocked as I was, but offered some solid advice. They reminded me of the need to protect my own heart and mental health above all. Moving forward, maybe? As of now, I haven't made any decisions. Ina's staying at her parents' place, trying to give me space to think, which I appreciate, but the ball's in my court now. I'm considering all options. Maybe a meeting in a neutral place to talk things through could be a start, or perhaps it's best to just move on, turn the page for good. Update 2. After I last wrote, my emotions were all over the place, but the worst part was the sinking feeling of betrayal that just wouldn't let up. Ina and I had met up, hoping maybe there was a way to salvage something, maybe some closure or understanding from the whole mess. Honestly, part of me was clinging to the memories of better days, hoping against all odds that there was some misunderstanding. But what unfolded at that cafe tore down any remaining hopes. Ina looked like she was carrying the weight of the world as we sat down, her usual vibrant self replaced by this nervous, fidgety version that was hard to reconcile with the person I thought I knew. The cafe around us buzzed with life, people laughing and chatting over coffee, oblivious to the storm brewing at our small table. When she finally spoke, it was like a dam breaking. She didn't just admit to the escapade at the resort, she confessed to multiple instances of unfaithfulness throughout our relationship. Each confession was a hammer blow to the remnants of trust I had clung to. It wasn't just about her being with someone else, it was the repeated betrayal, the ongoing deceit. Walking out of that cafe, I felt numb. The world seemed to move in slow motion as I wandered through the streets, each step heavier than the last. I must have walked for miles, trying to clear my head, to understand how and why everything had gone so wrong. The images of our past, the plans we had made, all seemed tainted now, colored by the lies that had woven their way through our history. Reaching out to a therapist was my lifeline. Those sessions in a quiet, neutral space were where I began to dissect the grief and betrayal, to face the pain head-on rather than letting it consume me from the inside. It was raw, often painful work, but necessary. My friends and family were incredible too, offering not just sympathy, but strength. Their support was a reminder that despite everything, I wasn't alone. The more I talked it out, the more I came to realize that this wasn't just about Ina's infidelity. It was about what I tolerated, what I expected from a relationship, and how I had ignored signs because I was comfortable, because it was easier than facing potential conflicts. This realization was sobering. It forced me to look not just at her actions, but at my own, at the dynamic we had allowed to develop between us. As for moving forward, it's one day at a time. Some days are better, others are a struggle when memories surface out of the blue, triggering a fresh wave of hurt. But each day adds a bit more distance from the pain, a bit more clarity. I've taken up old hobbies that I had set aside: photography, hiking, being out in nature, capturing moments of fleeting beauty has been therapeutic. It's a way to reclaim parts of myself that got lost in the relationship. The future is still a big question mark. Right now, it's about healing, about building a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. It's about learning to trust again, not just in others, but in my own judgment, in my ability to see things clearly and make choices that are good for me. To those who've been there. To everyone reading this, whether you've shared words of support, advice, or simply followed along, thank you. It's strange how sharing the most painful parts of our lives with strangers can sometimes be the most comforting, how it can make us feel seen and understood in ways we didn't expect. Your kindness has been a beacon during some very dark days. I'll keep updating as I navigate this journey, sharing the ups and downs, the setbacks, and the steps forward. Life throws us curveballs, but it's also full of rebounds, of new paths that open up just when we think all doors have closed. Here's to discovering what's next, to new beginnings, and to the resilience we all carry within us. Let's see what life has in store beyond the storm. Update 3. After I discovered that Tom, the guy Ina cheated with, was married, I was torn about what to do. It's one thing to handle your own relationship falling apart, but it's another to hold the potential grenade that could blow up someone else's life. I wrestled with this dilemma, wondering whether ignorance was bliss or if the truth was a necessary pain. I talked it through with my therapist, who helped me explore the ethical side of things. It was clear that if roles were reversed, I would want to know. So, after much thought and a fair share of anxiety, I decided to reach out to Tom's wife. Finding her contact wasn't easy. I had to discreetly ask around, and it felt a bit like I was crossing lines. But ultimately, I thought about the bigger picture and pushed forward. The meeting with Tom's wife was as nerve-wracking as you'd expect. We met at a quiet corner of a local cafe, a place where we could talk without too much interruption. Initially, there was a chill in the air, a mix of her suspicion and my anxiety. When I finally laid everything out, the look of shock on her face was something I won't easily forget. It was a mirror of my own when I first found out about Inna. She listened, mostly quiet, with a storm brewing in her eyes. I shared the details, the timeline, and even showed her some messages as proof, because let's face it, this kind of news isn't easily digested without some solid evidence. The conversation was tough, filled with pauses heavy enough to drown in. By the end, she was visibly shaken, but there was also a resolve there, a steely sort of strength that appeared as she started to process the reality of her situation. After our meeting, the fallout was immediate and intense. Tom's wife confronted him, and from what she later told me, it was both explosive and revelatory. They were thrust into their own whirlwind of decision-making and emotional upheaval. She thanked me for coming forward, saying that while it was devastating, it was better to confront the harsh truth than to live in deceit. For me, telling her had unexpected consequences on my own healing process. There was a sense of closure, a feeling of doing the right thing, however hard it was. It didn't make the betrayal hurt any less, but it gave me a sense of agency, of taking action rather than being a passive victim in the narrative of my own life. As for my own path forward, it's still being paved one day at a time. The world didn't stop turning, and life didn't pause to let me catch up. I had to keep moving. I found solace in returning to my hobbies, particularly photography. There's something about capturing life through a lens that helps put things in perspective. It's like you're framing the world, focusing on what you choose to see, and blurring out the rest. I've also leaned heavily on my circle of friends and family, whose support has been unwavering and invaluable. Their perspectives, advice, and sometimes just their presence have helped me navigate through the darker moments. The road ahead is uncertain. There are good days and bad ones. Sometimes the betrayal feels like a shadow that trails just behind me, and other days, it's a distant memory. I'm learning to accept that healing isn't linear, and that's okay. Thank you to everyone who's been following this saga. Your words, your shared stories of similar experiences, and your encouragement have been more helpful than I can express. I'll continue to share updates as I navigate through this. Here's to moving forward, to healing, and to finding peace in the chaos of life. Here's to new beginnings, however they may come. Update 4. After sharing the initial shock and hurt with Sarah, Tom's wife, our casual conversations slowly morphed into regular check-ins. These weren't just your run-of-the-mill venting sessions. They started to take on a life of their own, turning into brainstorming meetups about how we could both get some form of justice, or as it slipped into, revenge. What started almost as a dark joke between two scorned partners began to take a more serious and, frankly, a bit of a sinister tone. Sarah was the mastermind behind the initial idea of hitting Tom where it would hurt the most, his wallet. As she outlined her plan to quit her job to spike the alimony she'd potentially receive, I could see the fire in her eyes. She was out for blood. Part of me was drawn into that energy. It felt like finally doing something proactive about the mess we were both thrown into. But there was also this nagging feeling in the back of my mind about whether this was really the right move. She laid out the entire strategy during one of our lengthy chats at a local diner that's become our go-to for these clandestine meetings. The more she talked about it, the more detailed and calculated it all became. She had thought of everything, the timing, the potential legal hurdles, and even the social fallout she might face. It was like watching a general map out a battle plan. As these plans crystallized, I found myself being pulled deeper into the scheming. Initially, I was just a sounding board, offering a bit of advice here and there, mostly trying to inject some caution into the mix. But as time went on, I became more involved, helping to think through potential outcomes, discussing legal angles, and even playing devil's advocate to ensure Sarah had thought through all the angles. This involvement made me start to question my own motivations. Was I really helping Sarah, or was I using this plan as a way to channel my own anger and hurt? Was I looking for vicarious satisfaction in Tom's downfall because I hadn't fully dealt with my own feelings about Ina's betrayal? As the plan moved forward, my doubts grew. There's something about plotting revenge that starts to eat at you, making you question your own moral compass. I began to reflect on the potential consequences, not just for Tom, but for Sarah, myself, and even innocent bystanders like family members and friends who might be caught in the crossfire. I found myself lying awake at night wrestling with the ethics of our actions. Was it just to seek retribution in this way? Could this spiral out of control and lead to more hurt? What was the endgame here? Justice or just plain revenge? Realizing that I might be in over my head, I sought more professional advice. I talked extensively with my therapist about the situation, unpacking not just the plan with Sarah, but my entire journey since discovering Ina's betrayal. These sessions were eye-opening, helping me to see how my desire for justice might actually be clouding my judgment. I also consulted a legal friend informally, trying to get a sense of the legal ramifications of what we were considering. The advice was sobering. Messing with someone's life like this could have serious legal consequences and could backfire in ways we hadn't considered. Now, here I am, at a crossroads, trying to decide how, or if, I should continue down this path with Sarah. The plan is in motion, but not irreversible. I find myself torn between supporting a friend in her quest for what she sees as justice and stepping back from a situation that might not be as black and white as it seems. Reflecting on the journey to everyone who's been reading these updates, your support and insights have been invaluable. This journey has taken turns I never expected, pushing me to question not just the actions of those who hurt me, but also my own responses and choices. As I navigate these murky waters, I'm reminded of the complexity of human emotions and relationships, and the often blurry line between right and wrong. I'll keep you posted on where this path leads, hopefully to a resolution that brings peace rather than more turmoil. Here's to finding clarity in the chaos and making choices we can live with. Update 5. Amidst all the chaos and the drama of the past months, something unexpected happened. I met someone new. Let's call her Ellie. So, Ellie and I met under pretty whimsical circumstances at a local bookstore. You know, one of those movie-like moments where you both reach for the same book and your hands touch. It's funny how life throws you these little moments of serendipity right when you least expect them. We ended up grabbing coffee together right then and there, chatting over our favorite authors and genres, and finding that our connection wasn't just about books. These past few weeks with Ellie have been a breath of fresh air. After everything that went down with Ina, diving back into the dating world felt daunting. But Ellie's presence has been soothing, like finding calm waters after a stormy sea. We've taken things slow, really getting to know each other, sharing bits and pieces of our lives, our dreams, our past heartaches. She's been incredibly understanding about all the drama that's unfolded with Ina, which has made opening up to her easier than I expected. On the flip side, there's the ongoing saga with Ina. Her life seems to have taken a nosedive since everything blew up. Her parents deciding to kick her out was a shock to everyone. They've always been supportive of her, almost to a fault, some might say. But I guess everyone has their breaking point. They felt that Ina needed a serious wake-up call, and apparently this was it. From what I've heard through mutual friends, she's been struggling to adjust to her new reality. Financially, she's in hot water, having been cut off from the comfort and security of her parents' support. Emotionally, it sounds like she's a mess, trying to grapple with the consequences of her actions. While there's a part of me that feels vindicated seeing her finally face some repercussions, there's also this weird undercurrent of sympathy. It's hard to watch someone you once loved fall apart no matter what they did. Navigating these mixed emotions hasn't been easy. I find myself reflecting a lot these days, on how far I've come, on the lessons learned, and on how I can use these experiences to grow. It's been a process of acknowledging the hurt and betrayal, while also trying not to become bitter. Therapy has been a godsend through all of this. It's given me a space to unpack all these complex feelings without judgment. It's taught me a lot about empathy and forgiveness, not just forgiving others, but forgiving myself too. It's easy to beat yourself up, to wonder how you didn't see the signs or what you could have done differently. But I'm learning to let go of those thoughts, to accept that sometimes things just happen the way they do, without it necessarily being anyone's fault. Looking forward, I'm excited to see where things go with Ellie. We're planning a small trip together next month, a little getaway to a cabin by the lake where we can just relax, enjoy each other's company, and build on this new relationship. It's nice to have something to look forward to, a reminder that there's still joy to be found after heartache. And as for the blog and sharing this journey with all of you, your support has been incredible. Reading your comments and advice not only helps me feel less alone, but often gives me new insights into my own feelings and situations. It's comforting to know that no matter what life throws at me, there's a community here that understands and supports me. So here's to moving forward, to new chapters and new relationships. Here's to learning from the past and using it to create a better future. I'll keep updating as things progress, sharing the highs and hopefully fewer lows. Thanks for being a part of my journey. Here's to finding happiness, in whatever form it may come. Cheers to life's unexpected twists and turns, and to navigating them with grace and resilience. Update 6. Ellie and I had been growing closer by the day, and our relationship felt like it was on fast forward in the best possible way. We were connecting on all levels, and life seemed to be rewarding us with pure, unadulterated happiness after a stormy period. Then, the baby news hit us like a ton of bricks, in that startling, exhilarating way that changes everything you thought you knew about your future in an instant. We found out Ellie was pregnant on a lazy Sunday morning. It was completely unplanned and unexpected. We were both in our pajamas, just enjoying a slow start to the day when she mentioned she'd been feeling off. Half jokingly, I suggested getting a pregnancy test. When she agreed, I thought we were just indulging a whim. But when that test showed a positive, our casual morning turned into one of the most memorable days of our lives. After the initial shock and excitement of the pregnancy settled a bit, I started thinking about how I wanted to make things even more official with Ellie. I knew she was the one for me, not just because of the baby, but because of how she'd been my partner through everything, offering me support and showing me what a loving, stable relationship could look like. I wanted the proposal to be special, but also intimate, something that would reflect the simplicity and depth of our bond. So I planned a quiet evening at home. I cooked her favorite meal, spaghetti carbonara, set up candles all around our living room, and put on the playlist that had all our favorite songs. It was just us, in our little bubble, and it felt perfect. When I proposed, Ellie's reaction was everything I had hoped for and more. She was genuinely surprised, and her immediate tears and laughter were a mix that perfectly encapsulated the moment. Joyful, emotional, real. It felt like we were the only two people in the world at that moment. And when she said yes, it was the happiest I had felt in a long time. This whole journey, from the depths of despair with Inna to finding something so real with Ellie, has been surreal. If you had told me a year ago that this is where I'd be today, I wouldn't have believed it. It's funny how life works out sometimes. It throws you these curveballs, and somehow they lead you exactly where you're meant to be. Meeting Ellie, and now expecting a child with her, has taught me so much about the unpredictability of life and the resilience of the human spirit. It's shown me that no matter how broken things seem, there's always a path forward, a path that can lead to unexpected, incredible places. Now, as Ellie and I prepare for our wedding and the arrival of our baby, I'm filled with a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. We're diving into all things wedding planning and baby prep. It's a lot, but it's the kind of busy I've come to cherish because it's building towards the life I've always hoped for. We're looking at venues for a small wedding, something outdoors, maybe in a garden or by the beach. We want it to be a celebration of love, not just our love, but the love of all our friends and family who've supported us along the way. As for the baby, our weekends are now filled with browsing baby stores, reading parenting books, and daydreaming about the future. To everyone reading this, your support has been a cornerstone through my ups and downs. Sharing this journey with you has been incredibly therapeutic and rewarding. The comments, the shared stories, and even just knowing you're out there reading this means more than I can express. Here's to the future, a future filled with love, laughter, and the little footsteps of our newest edition. I can't wait to share more updates as we embark on this incredible adventure. Life is full of surprises, and I'm so grateful for where this one has led me. Cheers to new beginnings and the beautiful unpredictability of life.